Hello, and welcome back to some more Watanagashi. Last time we kind of did the day after the Watanagashi, and Keiichi's still thinking about all the ritual stuff. Obviously, I think that's pretty natural since it is pretty gruesome. Mion, they had a confrontation with Mion. Um, Kind of saw a bit of this spooky mode, which is kind of scary, but she was questioning him if he was doing anything bad with Tomotate, Takano, and Shion. And she's like alluding to a bunch of people. Like she tells him everyone, but we don't know. But we can assume it's like a bunch of people already know that they've probably snuck into the shed. So I guess they can't confirm that Keiichi did. Or maybe Mion will kind of save us, hopefully. So that's interesting. It's probably Keiichi's fault for the light switch, but who knows? They probably have that area under surveillance anyways. Like I said, there might be like hidden cameras inside too, right? Then, despite that conversation, Keiichi still met up with Shion, which is very questionable, I feel. And they talked a bit, but they didn't get to what Shion was actually wanted to talk about, and we bumped into Uishi and Shion had to dip. So we're gonna have a conversation with Uishi. I stopped right when it sounded like Uishi was gonna start getting into some serious stuff, so this is probably start of the partnership between Keiichi and Uishi. Looks like he's gonna talk about the Sonozakis first, so let's just get into this now.
さっき聞いた以上のことは何も。
Until then, I hadn't known anything about either Mion or Shion other than the fact that they were interesting. I really did only just learn that she was the daughter of some prestigious family.
園崎家はこの地域一帯を牛耳ってる暴力団です。
What a
ちなみに
word.
彼女のお父さんは関東でも有名な暴力団グループの大幹部さんです。ご存知でした？
え、大幹部って。
シオンさんの自宅をご存知ないんですか？
Probably a mansion.
高い塀に有刺鉄線と監視カメラで守られた典型的な暴力団の組長。
Okay, so yeah, Shion lives in the big house. That's what I thought. I forgot to check. I said I was going to check, but I swear it was Shion did say that she lived in the main house away from Mion. Unless, of course, they were like... Unless it was like Mion dressed as Shion. But,
今度ぜひ遊びに行ってみてください。
She'd mentioned Mion being a... Wait. I thought... Yeah, Keiichi, bro. We should just say that's where Shion lives, not Mion. She mentioned Mion being a successor, but to a crime syndicate?
いえいえいえいえ、まさかまさか。園崎美音さんが継ぐのはそんなちんけな暴力団組織だけじゃありません。彼女が継ぐのは園崎家そのものですよ。そのあたりの意味、ちょっと噛み締めていただけますかな。
I don't know, like the leader of the family, I'm guessing? Like the head of the family? Rishi-san had spoken lightly about all this from the start to finish, but what he was saying wasn't light in the least. It was abrupt and unbelievable.
ミオンさんがその気になれば、往来の真ん中で人殺しをしたってもみ消せちゃうかもしれない。
Yeah, that's it.
証人は現れないだろうし、警察にだって圧力をかけられます。
Well, hopefully we can win Mion on our side. If she's the future boss, I'm sure she can protect us if she really wants to, right?
ミオンは人殺しなんかしないぞ。
しませんしません、ものの例えですよ。
大石さんでしたっけ、名前。ね
え、そうです。
大石さん、ミオンの家が何だろうと ミオンは俺の誇れる最高の友人です。
Aw, Keiichi. That's so sweet.
それをあまりけなすような言い方は好きになれないですね。
I think Mion and Keiichi are still like would be my favorite couple. Still. Over Shion even. And Rena. Mion really growed on me this volume. Because she was like my least favorite of the club, which isn't a bad thing, right? They're still all amazing characters. But I'm really starting to like her. Yeah. I don't know why exactly, but yeah. I let my anger show through in my days as I stared at him. Of course, I could never seem to tell what he's thinking, so I didn't know if it had any effect.
ではザック・バランにそのミオンさんにいくつかの事件の嫌疑がかかっているとしたらどう思います？
Suspected? Incidents? You can't just say terrible stuff like that on a whim.
何かの誤解に決まってるじゃないですか。ミオンは物騒なことを言うやつだけど、そんな悪いことをするようなやつじゃない。
前原さん、お静かにお静かに。ここ図書館ですから。
Wishi-san shushed me, but in a state of heightened excitement as I was, I wouldn't be calm so easily.
落ち着いてください。さっきも申し上げました通り、園崎家はいい意味でも悪い意味でもこの辺り一帯で強い力を持っているんです。ですから、ちょっと何かあるとすぐに疑いがかかってしまう。その辺りをご理解いただきたいのですよ。
Well, I know what Oishi-san is trying to say. Combining it with what Shion told me before, the Sonozaki family is huge and controls everything from Hinamizawa to Okinomiya. Mion, meanwhile, is its successor, who apparently holds strong influence over the entire family. Still, that's all? That's the only reason they're suspecting her?
ですから、私だって仕事で仕方なくやってるんです。ミオンさんを疑うためでなく、ミオンさんの疑いを晴らすために捜査をしている。そうお考えいただきたいのです。
He could talk like a dog out of a meat truck. He was the definition of a shrewd, unfair adult. I've never heard of that analogy. At this point, I began to think that it was no coincidence that I'd met him.
大石さん、ひょっとして俺に用なんですか？
Say no, Keiichi. You're friends with a future mob boss. You're safe. You're just straying away from that.
前原圭一さん。
He answered in an absent tone of voice.
何かの事件でミオンを疑っていて、その友人の俺に何か聞きに来た。そういうことですか？
いえいえ、違います。私は園崎ミオンさんの友人と話をしに来たのではなく、前原圭一さんに話をしに来たのです。ご自宅にお伺いしたらご迷惑でしたでしょうからね。
俺に警察が何の用だって言うんですか？
Having realized this fake coincidental meeting had me as its target, my mood immediately turned foul.
そんなに構えなくて大丈夫ですよ。肩を楽にしてちょっと質問に答えてくださるだけでいいんです。
それって職務質問ってやつですか？
偶然知り合ったおじさんとの世間話ってことにしましょう。
Uishi-san freely suggested that I relax. That said, behind his eyes was a light, which I could only see sometimes, that was sharp as a hawk. If I tried in vain to run away, he might actually take me in and bring me to an interrogation room or something. That was an undoubtedly unpleasant thought.
ゆうべは渡長市のお祭り、盛大で楽しかったですね。
はぐらかさないでください。今さら世間話なんかされても。
昨日の渡長市の晩、 富武二郎さんと高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
Gulp. I could plainly feel myself give a start.
あれ、写真はどこに行っちゃったかな？ああ、あったあった。
He opened a small notebook and removed 2 photographs. I didn't have to look.
さあ、どうでしょう。あったような、合わなかったような。
Yo, same answer as he gave me on. I was asked the same question for the second time today. I gave the same answer for the second time too.
あれ、記憶が曖昧ですか？まさかアルコールが入っててよく覚えてないなんてのはなしにしてくださいよ。
Here too, I got the same answer as I had from Neon. I realized he wasn't taking my vague reply well. Why? Is he asking me the same thing Neon did? Well, I'm assuming they're dead, or dead/missing. So that's probably why Uishi-san's asking, but Mion's probably asking for a different reason if they're the culprits who did them in. To again look for loose ends, I guess. Well, Uishi's probably just investigating the murder. The dark feelings I had nearly forgotten due to my conversation with Shion came rushing back in a hurry. We snuck... My bad. We snuck into the sacred ritual storehouse, a punishable act. It was on a tiny impulse. While it may not count for much now, I do feel sorry about it.
もう一度お聞きしますよ。
Angry Uishi.
ゆうべのお祭りで富武二郎さんと高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
His tone was soft, but there was a dreadfulness in his voice, clearly different from the first time he asked. I'm scared. That was exactly how I felt.
繰り返し聞かれても、答えはさっきと同じです。
Yes, Keiichi, stick to it. I don't really remember. There wasn't any better answer I could give him. I didn't have the balls to say I didn't see them, nor had the courage to admit I had.
そうですか。改めて聞けば、さっきとは違う答えが返ってくるかなと思いました。
Why is he saying the exact same thing Mion said? Unless he was somehow watching us during the conversation. I'm too scared to look Uishi-san in the eyes.
では、質問を変えます。ほら、前原さん、リラックス、リラックス。
Uishi-san grabbed my shoulders and squeezed them, as if trying to give me a massage. It mostly just hurt, though. Still, why? But he asked the same things as Neon. If he's asking the same things, then the next question must be...
同じく夕べのお祭りなんですが、園崎しおんさんにお
It's
会いし
actually
ませんでした。
eerily weird, though I do think it's a coincidence rather than... Unless they're working together, and this is like the double tactic, where Keiichi finally gives in because he's a police officer, but it's really just telling Neon. I don't think they're working together. Well, I did kind of say that in my theory sheet, but I think it's like more likely Uishi's independent party. I wonder what that sound was. When I looked down, I saw that it was the unmelted ice in the cup I was dripping in my hands. My hands were trembling, rocking the ice back and forth. Oh, if it's too late now. If you're this nervous, you might as well tell it. Realizing that, I hastily put the remaining ice in my mouth and crunched down on it.
すみません。あったかもしれないですけど、ほら、ミオンにもそっくりですから、ミオンと見間違えてるかも。
そんなわけはないでしょう。
Suddenly, Uishi-san grabbed both my shoulders and hunched down to give me a level stare. This must be what it's like to be a deer in the headlights. I want to look away, but I can't. This is the first time I've experienced such a piercing stare.
ミオンさんもシオンさんも 服装は全然違うんですから。
I Wouldn't that be funny if... No. Never mind. It doesn't actually make sense. I was trying to say if Mion was like wearing Shion, if they like switched clothes for that event, but why would that happen? And they like, no, that doesn't. It's actually a 0%
簡単に見間
chance.
違えるはずはありませんよ。前原さん。
His voice was harsh. Harsh, the same as when Mion said it. I could feel my heartbeat quickening. When I realized he could feel it through the hands of my shoulders, I got even more scared. Why? Why are Mion and Uishi-san both asking about last night? Was sneaking into the storehouse so bad? I shouldn't have let Takano-san talk me into it. Tomotachi-san casually said to check it out too, so... Even Shion, if she hadn't encouraged me... No, I understood. I was the one most at fault here. I shouldn't have let my curiosity get the better of me. I shouldn't have gone into the forbidden storehouse. Oh, I think we did see the sprite of him before. But, yay, sprite characters, Tamagi. A young man wearing a suit came into the lounge. From the way he held himself, I knew immediately that he was Uishi-san's subordinate.
あれは本当だ。もう閉館なんですね。
I didn't realize it until he said something. The jingle and announcement telling patrons the library had closed had started playing without me realizing it. I was so irritated, so overwhelmed that I couldn't even hear it.
じゃあ前原君、もうこんな時間なんで私たちは失礼させてもらいます。このお話はもっと時間のある時にのんびりといたします。
I wonder if Keiichi... What if Keiichi just tells that Uishi's trying to question him to Mion? Would that be a good strat? Then I feel like Mion could probably do something about it, since we already know she hates Uishi, and this just gives her a reason. That'd be interesting. This isn't a joke. If I never saw him again, it would be too soon. Uishi-san followed his subordinate and left the lounge behind him. However, he spun back around.
そうそう前原さん。
何ですか？
さっきさせてもらった2つの質問ですが、どちらの回答もよく覚えてないでしたよね。
はい。
参考までに。あなた、昨日全員にお会いしてますよ。4人で楽しそうに歩いてたじゃないですか。石段のところで。私がこの目で見てますから。
I caught my breath and my heart seemed like it was about to stop. What a detestable person. He knew, and he was testing me.
ではまたお会いしましょう。良いお年を。
Well, maybe he doesn't know we went into the storehouse. He could have just saw us together somewhere else. I guess if he's done investigating stuff, it'd be natural for him to like also be interested in the storehouse if he knows about it. Takano kind of alluded that the police wouldn't know about it though. I sat there like a rock, unmoving until I could no longer hear the cackling sounds of their footsteps. Or clacking, not cackling. Okay, that was actually not what I expected. I thought he was trying to like bring up the murders and try to like coerce us to his side. I was on my way back home. The cries of the Higurashi accentuated the already lonely evening. More time had passed than I thought. The orange of the dusty sky was being chased down, little by little, by an indigo color approaching from the east. Exhausted from the slow climb towards Hinamizawa, without even noticing, I got off my bicycle and was pushing it uphill. I don't understand any of this. No one had told me to my face that I'd done something wrong. No, In fact, it might have been much easier on me that way. What happened yesterday really was just my curiosity. It really was no more than a quiet prank. No more than having the courage to cross at a red light, as long as you did it with other people. The storehouse for ritual implements, hallowed ground, only accessible to the family of the priest. For sure, I've seen some terrifying things that I've never imagined would be there. Thinking on it now, though, it didn't matter what was stored away inside. It didn't make the wrong that I had committed any more right. What the four of us did, Mion seemed to know about it. For some reason, even the police were trying to learn what the four of us did. Did we do something so bad? Really? It doesn't matter how wrong it was. I did something wrong. It was nothing more than that, and yet I couldn't accept it. I didn't apologize to Mion or Uishi-san. All I did was shield myself with ambiguities. I did something wrong yesterday. I set foot into a forbidden storehouse for a little bit of mischief. I'll forget everything I saw in there. I wouldn't ever do something like that again either. I'm sorry. Well, he's super apologetic, but that's the thing. Once you do something, sometimes you can't take it back and it doesn't matter anymore. Also, apologies. Remember, well, I didn't actually figure this out myself, but during the kind of discussion with the viewer I had, they did bring up the point of apologies being very prevalent in the first one. And I guess this is our first time getting the I'm sorry repeatedly. So this should be a point of interest too. For later, when I analyze them again. If I apologize like that, would they forgive me? Probably not. Again, maybe Mion. She's like the best chance of Keiichi making this out alive. The suddenly cool evening air left no room for such sentiment. However, as it mercilessly chilled my feet, urging me to head home as soon as possible. Why doesn't my button work sometimes? In the end, the evening air was correct. If I trudged along such an isolated road, regrets would pile on top of regrets, but nothing would change. Let's go home. I'll go home, go to my room, put on my favorite music or something, and go to bed. That might sound plain and boring, but it's probably the strongest I've felt all day. Now that I've made a decision, there's no point in dawdling in a place like this. I sat back on my bike. I pushed hard on the pedals. I rapidly advanced forward. I steadily gained speed. The wind was cutting and mercilessly cold, but it actually felt good, as if it were softly punishing me. Can I just say that scene was really good? I kind of got chills for that whole scene. It was kind of like a monologue, right? That's a really nice scene. Very well written. I appreciate that kind of stuff. I didn't eat much dinner before excusing myself early and returning to my bedroom. Still have the phone chat with Shion tonight, probably to finish off the chapter. My mom called me from downstairs.
Keiichi?
Maybe Shion's trying to break the news that Tomotaki and Takano died. That'd be a good chapter ending.
電話よ。園崎さんから。
Sonozaki? Was it Mion? No, it was Shion. I just remembered. She had something she wanted to tell me today. Uishi-san had interrupted us, so she didn't get the chance. Shion had said she'd call tonight.
もしもし、シオンか。
どうも。今日は災難でしたね。
She said it so plainly that I got a bit annoyed. She was the one who left me there and ran.
そんなこと言わないでください。
I didn't say anything.
私、ケイちゃんに一緒に逃げようってサインを送ったじゃないですか。なのにケイちゃん、ぼさっと残っちゃって。
ボサってことはないだろう。シオンがあっという間に置いてきぼりにしたんで、あの後俺は大石のおっさんにたっぷり付き合わされたんだぜ。
そんなの私に愚痴られても困ります。
I can't believe she passed it off like that. She looks just like Mia, and yet inside she's this different. I got a little irritated at myself when I realized I was, somewhere in my mind, hoping for the same reaction I would get from Mion, even though she's a different person.
ああ、悪かったよ。次からはシオンを置いてくぐらいのつもりで真っ先に逃げ出すようにする。
できればレディーファーストでお願いします。
Shion laughed refreshingly. When I heard her voice, I realized that she wasn't really that angry or anything. It was just as she said. The cause of my temper was because it was my own fault for not leaving immediately. I'll stop blaming it on others. Blaming it on others would be...
それより俺に何か話があるんだろ。
Weird stop.
はい。もしももう知ってるなら改めて言うような話じゃないんです。
Oh, she's definitely trying to break the news that they died.
その知ってますか？
Yeah, it's happening. I guess that's a way to end the chapter. It's almost time for Detective Keiichi soon, I guess. She unloaded her voice suddenly, as if she were glancing around. Yeah, so this is definitely gonna probably lead to a Shion x Keiichi pairing up to solve the mystery. I don't know how prevalent Uishi's gonna be. He's probably gonna be treated as an enemy, maybe. Just because Keiichi dislikes him a lot. He definitely gave a worse impression on Keiichi than he did in the first one, where Keiichi thought he was like his only ally. I had no idea what I could already know.
悪いけど何のことかさっぱりわからないぞ。ヒントくらい出せ。
ってことは知らないみたいですね。
She seemed to take my stupid-sounding question as evidence. However, her voice didn't sound disappointed or exasperated in the
実
slightest.
は昨日の渡流しのお祭りの晩なんですけど。
My entire body jolted as I was assailed by a terrible feeling. Is Shion going to ask the same thing? Well, obviously not, because she was there with you.
もしもし、ケイちゃん聞いてます？
ああ、聞いてる。昨日の晩どうしたんだよ。
私たち4人入ったじゃないですか。
She didn't beat around the bush. Whether or not I wanted to admit it, that was the actual honest truth, and I couldn't act like it hadn't
それ
happened.
でその後みんなで歩いて石段のあたりで私たちみんな別れましたよね。
Which is where Uishi saw us, apparently.
高野さんたちは沢に行ってケイちゃんはその場に残って、 私は親類の人たちのところに行っちゃって。
ああ、それがどうした？
お互い質問の返し合いになっちゃうと拉致が開かないんで、いいですか？
ゆうべ富武さんと高野さんに会いませんでしたか？
え？はい。あの後あの二人には会いましたか？
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. This is the third time I've been asked this question today. Why? Why? What the hell was going on?
どうしてだよ。だからどうしてそれを俺に聞くんだよ。
ほらほら、ケイちゃん、質問は私からのはずです。答えてください。
Dude, it feels like they're like all like what if they're all working together and just trying to get a straight answer out of Keiichi to like verify his position. That'd be so interesting, but I really don't think it is. But this is so eerily similar.
シオンはあったのか？
But they could again be working all independently just to see what happened with them, assuming that they're murdered.
シオンが先に答えたら俺も答える。
My shabby response betrayed how scared and small I felt now, after everything that happened today. Shion didn't say anything for a few moments. Just as I was beginning to think I'd really put my foot in my mouth with that response, she finally
も
answered
ち
me.
ろん会ってません。一緒にいた親類が証明できます。
俺だって会ってない。証明って言うならミオンとかレナとかみんながしてくれる。
Now that we knew our answers matched, she let out a sigh that sounded more relieved than anything else.
正直に答えてくれて。じゃあ言いますね。
They're dead.
ゆうべ高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。
ごめんシオン。今 なんて言った？
Oh god.
昨べ高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。高野さんは焼死体で、
Oh, he was the burnt one. Oh, she was the burnt one.
富武さんは自殺みたいな感じで、
Really? No one disappeared? Huh.
今朝知ったんです。
And suicide is the probably scratching at his throat. And Takano-san was found out of the village, right? Which could mean that's what happened in Anatakashi, which is why the curse happened and everyone went spooky mode. That would be interesting.
お父さんが親類の人からの電話で話してるのを聞いて、
Late last night, a police car on its way back from the festival security duty had discovered Tomotachi-san lying in the middle of the road heading towards Okinomiya. He had clawed out his throat and died.
なんだよ、喉をかきむしっての自殺って。あの明るそうな富武さんが自殺？何かの間違いだろ。
警察がちゃんと検視したんです。自分の爪でガリガリと喉をかきむしって、血管を破いて血をドバドバ出して、自分の血で溺れ死んだんだって。
そんなバカな自殺聞いたことないぞ。自分の喉をかき破るなんておかしすぎる。
I realized I was yelling too loud, so I lowered the force I was putting into my voice. I didn't want my parents to hear me, so I switched to the cordless phone and ran up to my own room.
大声出してごめん。で、高野さんも自殺なのか？
高野さんは自殺かどうかちょっと。
Takano-san's body was found in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture. Employees at a rest stop nearby reported it to the police late last night that they could see flames in the mountains. The firefighters dispatched there were the first ones to find her. An autopsy concluded that it was the burnt corpse of a half-naked female. They initially considered the body beyond recognition, but directly after there was a request for a dental comparison from the Blind Prefectural Police Station in Otonomiya. And the results concluded that it was Mio Takano. The cause of her death wasn't confirmed, but it was likely to have been a homicide, since she was in her undergarments and her clothes were nowhere in the area.
灯油缶が転がってたそうなんで、焼身自殺の線もあるそうです。
自殺なわけあるものか。同じ死ぬならもっと楽な方法がいくらでもあるだろう。こんなの絶対に自殺なものか。
私だってそう思ってます。富武さんのだって自殺だなんて考えられない。
After the two of us rattled on at each other, there was a silence as we paused to catch our breaths, and as we calmed our nerves. Right then I understood what Shion's story actually meant.
お社様のたたりってことになると思います。私たちたたられるのに十分な資格があり
But
ます
it's
から。
different.
資格って冗談じゃないぞ。
I mean, maybe that's why they couldn't find the body, Takano's body, because she like got burnt to like ashes. Or maybe Uishi knew that Takano's body was burnt and they just didn't tell Keiichi.
別に俺は。
Shion wanted to see it with me. I just went along with her. I tried to say that, but I fell silent. Nothing would come of me blaming others. It didn't matter how much everyone else encouraged me, I could have put my foot down. I lost my own half-assed sense of adventure and agreed to go with them. Yes, it was my fault and no one else's.
シオン、お前は昨べ細工殿の中に忍び込んだらこうなるかもしれないと予想はついてたのか？
まさか。そりゃ多少はやばいとは思いましたけど、こんなことになるなんて夢にも思いませんでした。
Shion's words were probably her true feelings. She knew she could get in trouble if he were caught, but that was the thrill of this little adventure. It was the same for me.
それよりもケイちゃん、ちょっとよく考えてください。今年のお社様のたたりはおかしくないですか？
It was already plenty strange seeing how Tomodachi and Takano-san died like that. Given all that, what could possibly be stranger?
遺体が2つ見つかったってことです。言いましたよね。例年は1人が死んで1人が消えるんです。2人の死亡が確認されたのは今年が初めてです。
確かにそうかもしれないけど、そんなのは大した問題じゃないだろう。
いいえ、ケイちゃん、もっと真剣に考えてください。いいですか？2人の死がお社様のたたりということになってるなら、お社様の怒りを鎮めるための生贄もまた2人分必要なはずなんです。
Oh no! Wait, I didn't even think of that. Oh shit. Though you'd think that, like, Shion wouldn't be used as a sacrifice if she's from the Sonozaki family, but I guess you never know.
そういう理屈になるのか。じゃあなんだよ。富武さんと高野さんが死んだ陰で、今年は2人が行方不明になってるってのか？
I don't understand why, but when I said that, I felt my spine
まだ
freeze.
誰も行方不明になってないと思います。多分2人が失踪するのはこれからじゃないかと思うんです。
Shion, like me, was obviously getting the same feeling crawling down her back.
これから2人が失踪する。
Shion didn't answer. I couldn't say any more than that either. A chill crept in through my clothes and tried to wrap into a fist around my heart, cold hands feeling about on my chest. Neither of us could say anything. Tomodachi-san opened the lock and he died. Takano-san exposed the ritual storehouse and she died. If 2 more people were to be sacrificed, then they would be none other than the ones who entered with them, none other than us.
まさか冗談だろ。
I wanted so much for her to pass this off as a joke even now. That, though, was such an incredibly difficult and selfish request. If Tomodachi-san and Takano-san had died in a common way, like a car crash, I could tell myself it was a coincidence. Instead, he clawed out his own throat, and she burned to death, drowned in oil, in the mountains. The two deaths were so out of the ordinary that I couldn't possibly dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was as if, in exchange for sneaking into the ritual storehouse, there must have been someone punishing us, some sort of cruel will working behind the scenes. Even so, I still didn't want to accept that terrifying truth. If I did, then I would have to acknowledge that a horrible crisis was growing near for Shion and I. That's why I argued against it. I argued knowing I was running away.
大地、そんなの新聞に出てないぞ。そんなに奇怪な事件なら絶対に新聞やテレビで報道するはずだろう。雑誌記者とかだって面白がって大勢来るに決まってる。
マスコミに報道されないのは当然なんです。過去にそうだったから。
When the incident occurred for the 3rd year in a row, there were some third-rate magazines that sniffed out the story and ran issues full of gossip columns about Hinamizawa. Fearing that the region would develop a negative stigma, they negotiated with the prefecture and the police. Since last year, it became a big conspiracy where no information about the incidents was allowed to be leaked to the media.
村長とか、あと園崎家出身の金バッジが警察に思いっきり圧力をかけたんだって聞いてます。
じゃあつまり2人の死は秘密裏に処理されてしまったということか。
そういうことです。もちろん警察は捜査をしてますよ。でも秘匿捜査ということなので、捜査活動にはかなりの制限が加えられているそうです。これは事実上の捜査妨害と言えるでしょうね。
This story was unbelievable. People died, and yet they don't publicize it and deal with everything in
もっ
secret.
と噛み砕いて言うと、綿流しの夜に誰が死んでも公にはならないということです。
そんなバカな話があってたまるか。
ケイちゃん、私以前にお社様のたたりは村人が起こしてるかもしれないって言いましたよね。つまり そういうことなんです。このひなみ沢では毎年綿流しの夜にお社様のたたりということにして誰かを殺してもいい土壌がいつの間にか作り上げられているんです。
When someone dies on the night of the Watanagashi, it turns into the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The curse turns into the serial murder incidents. In order to avoid exacerbating the negative stigma around Hinamizawa, those incidents are dealt with in secret.
バカな。毎年死者と行方不明者が出るんだろ。いくらマイナスイメージって言ったって警察にも限度があるだろう。
毎年の事件が不可解って言うなら警察も本腰を入れられるんでしょうけど、何しろ毎年の事件は個別に解決してますので連続事件という形にならないんですよ。たまたま毎年綿流しの場に不幸なことが起こる、それだけのことに。
Most of the criminals responsible for the original dismemberment were arrested. The last one managed to get and stay away, but the events were totally exposed and elucidated that it was in essence resolved. The dam supporting couple who died in an accident on the second year, that was an accidental death, plain and simple. They made a lot of investigations into the possibility of it having been a homicide, but they didn't turn up anything. In the end, it was an accident. It was resolved. On the third year, the priest fell ill and passed away. There were doctors present at the hospital at his deathbed, and they all had trustworthy medical certificates. They even did an autopsy. It concluded that it wasn't a homicide. That was resolved too. On the fourth year, the sister-in-law of the dam-supporting couple was murdered. The criminal was an abnormal man with a history of regular psychostimulant usage. He confessed that he thought Oyashiro-sama's curse was so interesting he wanted to try it out. The criminal died of an accident while in prison, so this incident was essentially resolved as well. That's right. None of the incidents had any relation to another, and each was independently resolved.
なのになぜか毎年綿流しの晩に不幸な偶然が起こる。連続事件にしたくても連続にならないんです。それでも毎年必ず誰かが死んで誰かが消えていく。
The story Takano-san told me on the day before during the setup. Now that the curse had really had occurred this year, I couldn't just laugh it off.
じゃあ俺たちも狙われるっていうのか。毎年一人死ぬと一人が消えるように富武さんや高野さんの道連れに消えさせられるっていうのかよ。
My lips had, at some point, become completely dry, and just saying that was difficult. Shion didn't respond. Her silence, however, was the clearest form of confirmation she could give.
俺たちそれは確かに入っちゃいけないところだったかもしれないが見ただけだぜ。何かを盗んだり持ち出したり見たことを誰かに喋ったわけじゃないんだぜ。
I was already regretting having committed such a wrong. Even so, was it really so bad that Tomotachi-san and Takano-san deserved such cruel deaths?
第一、俺はあんなの見ても全然面白くなかったし、高野さんが見て一人で大喜びしてただけだろ。悪いのは高野さんだけだよ。俺は全然関係ないぜ。興味もないし関係ないし、あの中にあったものだって知ったことじゃない。
I knew saying so wouldn't solve anything. I could feel myself, my cold self in the innermost depths of my heart, disgusted at my pointless howling. However, my emotions had broken through the dam, and I couldn't stop them anymore.
俺はもともと興味なんか全然なかったんだ。リカちゃんの演舞を見ていたかっただけなんだ。それをシオンが勝手に連れ出したんじゃないか。あの二人が泥棒しようが何しようが知ったことじゃない。そうだよ、そもそもシオンが中に入ろうって言い出したんだ。ケイちゃんは見ておく必要があるとかなんとか思わせぶりなことを言って中に引き込んだんだ。どうしてくれるんだよ。俺は全然関係ないんだぞ。どうすんだよ。どうすんだよ。どうやって責任を取ってくれるんだよ。おい、聞いて。
Click. Without any warning, the phone cut off and the soft pound of the receiver being slammed down. Shion was just as terrified as I was, and I just said something really self-centered. I just said some really self-centered things. That's good too. I really love that. Did I really enjoy Keiichi's voice actor, especially when he like shouts like that? It really sounds good. My riled up emotions disappeared, as if they never existed, and in their place surged the waves of deep regret having read my mouth so irresponsibly. I could try to call out Shion's name from beyond the disconnected phone, but it was too late. What have I done? Shion was only trying to tell me as much as she could about this thing, about to descend upon us. As for me, I could only whine like a child about it. I went to call her back, but then remembered she lived in Otonomiya. I didn't know her phone number. Since it had declared to Mion that I hadn't seen Shion last night, I couldn't just call Mion and ask her for Shion's phone number. I was too scared. I couldn't even call her back. I was stricken with hopeless regret. I returned the receiver to its stand and I simply prayed that Shion would call me back again. Please, Shion, calm down and call me again. Ring, 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 ring.
もしもし、前原です。
I swept up the receiver as I thought it wouldn't go through if I didn't grab it at the exact moment.
前原さんのお宅でしょうか。夜分遅くに失礼いたします。君吉と申します。ご主人様でいらっしゃいますか？
It was the voice of a girl who clearly wasn't Shion. All my hopes rushed out of
い
me.
え、違いますけど、親父に用なら呼んできます。
I went to put the receiver back down, but the caller stopped me hurriedly.
あ、いえいえ、お忙しければ結構なんです。
Kimiyoshi.
実は恐縮なんですが、うちのおじいちゃんがお邪魔してませんでしょうか？
いえ、誰も来てませんけど。
そうですか。夜分遅くに申し訳ありませんでした。失礼いたします。
Clack. I don't know who that was, but what if Shion tried to call while I was on the phone? I thought, bubbling with egotistic anger. Hey, wait. Give a break, Keiichi Maibara. These are selfish emotions that made Shion mad at me, aren't they? The more I thought about it, the more I thought that Shion had given up hope in the short time we had our conversation and didn't call anymore. Calm yourself, Keiichi Maibara. If Shion doesn't call again, then first apologize in a calm voice. What's this girl's name? Sorry, Kimiyoshi. It's not. No, I'm thinking of the other. Because the guy organizing the festival started with a K, but I would think it was something else. I'm not sure. If you do that, then Shion should understand. However, no matter how long I waited, the phone didn't ring again that night. Chapter end? Yeah. Who is that girl? That's obviously something big. Keiichi's just trying to brush it off, but I can't think. Who could she be? More scrapbooks. She could be Uishi-san's daughter? She can be Tomataki's daughter? And that's his real last name? She could be... That's about it, right? Those are the only two, grown men that has talked to Keiichi. I think it might be I have a feeling it's Tomataki's daughter. But, no idea. Let's get into the tips. We're almost at the hour mark. More scrapbooks. I thought it would be over by now. But, let's see what's happening. Sorry, Takano-san. Looks like you ripped. The significance of the Watanagashi. Watanagashi, a festival of hunting for sacrifices and feasting on them. While the festival itself is remarkable, it has come to be considered a form of entertainment as well. Perhaps it was because of the disparity between being both an egregious act and a form of entertainment that the perpetrators began to believe themselves transcendent. However, I found some very interesting literature that appears to raise questions about that explanation. As with most oral traditions, it's not easily swallowed, but it does mention a few things that sparked my interest. According to this literature, even the residents of Onidafuchi village felt fear towards this ritual. Women and children would grow pale and tremble, and those of weak constitution would vomit. But it said that the feast, the dissection, was an obligatory viewing. This is an extremely curious tale. Until now, I thought that the residents of Onidafuchi village were fascinated by the Watanagashi ritual. They looked down on those vulgar, barbaric humans, cut them open like fish, and by eating them they reaffirmed their own holiness. At least that's what I thought. However, if what the villagers gained from this ritual was not fascination, but fear, then that would suggest the ritual meant something entirely different. There's a possibility that the executions were meant as warnings, encouraging the villagers to strictly follow religious precepts created by those with power for their own convenience. Onidafuchi village had efficiently ruled over by three old families called the Three Families. Without investigating the three families, I probably won't get any closer to the truth of Onidafuchi village. Yes, Takano, please have some of that knowledge in your scrapbook. I mean, it's obvious what one of them is, probably. But no idea what the other two could be. Or I do have an idea, but I mean, that's an interesting thing. That it's more of a fear thing than just a group entertainment thing. I didn't really think about that. But I guess that's one way to, I mean, even now, if you look at present day, like, the villagers are scared of being Anakakushita away. That's why they follow the Watanagashi festival too, right? I guess that is the current effect being used. But interesting. More scrapbooks. Scrapbooks have been the best. Oh, three families. Let's go. The three families refers to the three old families who officially came to rule Onidafuchi village. To break it down, there is the Kimiyoshi family, the Furude family, and the Sonozaki family. Each of them still exists today. So yeah, I kind of guessed. Instead of Kimiyoshi, I put Hojo and said they were kind of like just betrayers. But yeah, Furude family made sense to say like the holy priest and obviously Sonozaki. But Kimiyoshi obviously is the girl that called us. So I can't remember his name. I thought it was like Kibayashi though, not Kimiyoshi, the organizer of the festival from the hints a long time ago in Anakakushi. But who knows, right? Though they don't have as much control as they did in the remote past, they still hold considerable influence today. Well, you think Sonozaki probably has more control in the than in the past. The three families are considered by legend to be those in whom the blood of the swamp demons run the thickest. The Kimiyoshi family. The Kimiyoshi family appears to have held great power in the head, as the head of the three families, but it doesn't have that kind of leadership today. The current mayor of the village, Yoshi. Okay, so it was Kimiyoshi, not Kibayashi. Okay, that's interesting. Because I said he was suspicious, and I said he could be the leader of the cult. We just never got a sprite for him. But this is kind of confirming my suspicions from Anakakushi, so I'm kind of glad that they're bringing this up, and it wasn't kind of pointless thinking about him. So that's nice. The fact that the members of the Kimiyoshi family are elected as mayor every generation is thought to be a remnant of the old system. Of course, no rival candidates appear. It doesn't change the fact that Kimiyoshi family holds the mayoral office even through popular elections in the post-war era. The Furude family. Furude, not Furude. Fits that even. The center of the villagers' faith since ancient times, the Furude clan had guarded the sole shrine dedicated to Oyashiro-sama. They were worshipped as the only people to represent the voice of Oyashiro-sama for a long time, but the family branched off after the war and lost most of its power, and now consists of only the main house. The main house as well presently consists of only one daughter, Rika Furude, so the lineage may end in this generation. There is apparently an old tradition of honoring females of the Furude family, so the only daughter, Rika, is the subject of much respect among the elderly of the village. The Sonozaki family. It is said that this family had a certain police-like role of protecting the religious precepts of Onidafuchi village. Yep, definitely can see that now. Of the three families, their relatively weak position can be seen from me putting them here last. Of course, today, the Sonozaki family is flourishing, and the state of affairs among the three families has completely reversed. Even now, one could say that they are in control of Hinamizawa. The three families conferring with each other is simply the old way. The current head of the Sonozaki family, Ryu, essentially decides all of the going on in the villages by herself. Oh, it's a female. Oh, I guess that's probably why Neon's trying to become... Actually, no, that doesn't make sense. Maybe they have like a female tradition as heads. So this is a grandmother, right? Not the mother. I don't know. We need more of that. Okay, but that's good to get the three families confirmed so we can think about it more. Okay, so she was talking about the mayor visiting the house. I mean, maybe he visited before that while Keiichi was out. But who knows? Let's see this one. One more hint. Late night phone call. That's a good one. It's good to confirm that information.
夜分遅くに失礼いたします。
Oh,
君吉と申しますが、ご主人でいらっしゃいますか。
it's the first time we hear his voice. We've only seen his name on hints. I also kind of suspect that this guy was, before, kind of believe... Like, I used to didn't really believe this disappearing thing. Like, I thought they were just hiding somewhere. But I always thought this guy was the culprit from the first murder, and he was just hiding in Hinamizawa. But who knows now.
はい。いえいえ、その説は本当にありがとうございます。それでですね、こんな時間に大変恐縮なのですが、うちのおじいちゃんがお邪魔してないかと思いまして。
What?
ですよね。はい。こんな時間に申し訳ありませんでした。それでは失礼いたします。ごめんください。
どうだい？ダメ？
参ったな。どんなに熱中しても電話くらいはしてくれる人なんだけれどな。
This might not be the head. This is probably someone else from the family, right?
囲碁の人の家は全部電話したんでしょ？
はい、君吉です。
園崎です。どうです？村長さんは見つかりましたか？
Okay, so this is someone else.
ああ、ミオンちゃんか。片っ端から電話をかけてみたけどダメだよ。見つからないんだ。参ったな。どこで油を売ってるのかな。
こっちでも心当たりにいろいろと問い合わせましたけど、全然。バッチャにも相談したんですが、青年団を招集して探し回った方がいいだろうということです。
こんな時間にかい。それに別に行方不明になったと決まったわけでもないし。
渡流しの直後ですから、少し慎重に扱った方がいいとのことです。それでも見つからないなら、明朝警察に通報しましょう。
Sorry, I'm just
見つ
thinking.
かる見つからないは別に
This
し
is
て、
very interesting,
痛くない
actually.
腹を探られない方がいいでしょうから。
お涼さんがそう言ったのかい。
はい。直接声を聞かないと信用できないなら、電話先に出させますよ。
いえわかりました。青年団を集めて探しましょう。それで見つからなければ翌朝に警察に通報します。
Oh, I guess that's why So the girl just from the Kimiyoshi family was just calling everyone to see if he was visiting. Okay, that makes more sense.
青年団の連絡もよろしくお願いしますね。私もバッチャの代行ということでそちらに参ります。
ありがとう。すぐにみんなを集めます。
ええ、では。
This raises so much questions, actually. Oh, that's actually a curveball. So they're kind of alluding that he's got Anakakushi away. as the sacrifice, but it's obviously not a sacrifice if the Sonozaki family, or like I guess either of the three old great families, whatever, don't know about it, which is really weird since I was just assuming that the swamp sinking theory was actually a pretty good theory. But this could be something else. I don't know. It really hits the curveballs, but can't really do too much with it yet. Yeah, that'll be more for the theory making. Also remember, I always made the comment that Mion's like more of a pawn in the thing and not really evolved, but I think we definitely have to change my opinion on her now that we know she's the successor, and the fact that she's like representing the head of the Sonozaki, she's definitely probably have a bigger role in this thing that I was initially giving her credit for, so there's that too. Anyways, this is a good chapter. The hints were pretty good. We got the news of the deaths, so maybe it's gonna be time to start investigating. Turn back into Detective Keiichi, even though he didn't do too much detective work last chapter. But yeah, this was a good chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you're enjoying if you're watching this currently, the whole week of Watanagashi, you know, as an apology for last week's bad recordings. And yeah, next time we'll just get right into chapter 8. No, this is chapter 8, chapter 9. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye.